Yeah, what do you call a herd of goats?
You call it a herd.
Do you?
What do you call a group of capoeiristas?
How much money would you put on that?
It's called a herd, trip, or tribe.
Ooh, I like it.
Yeah,
it's just me and my trip. The term trip of goats is believed to have originally come from the Middle Dutch word trippen, which means hop or skip. Oh my god, it comes full circle.
Is this telling me the Dutch were actually the founders of hip-hop? The Dutch are stealing it back.
Welcome to Only the Strongest, the only capoeira podcast that can discern a whole history of gender relationships in one failed tesoura de costa.
Oh, wow. That's how you want to start this one out, huh?
Oh, I can feel the fire coming.
Yep. I got words for you already.
Yeah, I know. We have an interesting video for everyone today. If you haven't watched the video yet, pull it up right now. The link is in the show notes. The video is 70 whole seconds long. It's 1:10. Super quick. It's a great game. A lot of interaction going on here. Azul brought this one to us. The others of us are Bonzinho and Varal. We're psyched. I'm psyched. We haven't done a How to Watch A Roda video for quite a while. So yeah, I'm excited to get into this one.
Oh, I'm pumped.
Azul, do you want to set the scene for us?
Yeah, man. There's two capoeiristas, and they go in the roda.
Don't say they go into the roda. Okay.
So they just go into the roda.
Okay. I was originally looking for specifically women's roda, but then came across this video on Total Chance. It's from 2017. At least that's when it was uploaded. Who knows when it actually happened and where or who the participants are. There is no information, but the exchanges are amazing and
they're awesome.
I have so much commentary about every little bit of it. So I don't know if you want us to start breaking it down immediately or...
Yeah, let's break it down. You're right that the exchanges start right from the beginning. So
I think there's overall, there's 3 exchanges total in the game, right? Before they kind of break the game and restart.
Yeah. So the whole failed tesoura happens right around 10 seconds in, and whilst it is a gentle failed tesoura, it's badass that she goes for it, and then more badass that she doesn't back down the rest of the time. Like, these are high level capoeiristas, and I so thoroughly enjoy a good capoeira fight, for lack of a better term. Like, both of them are super skilled. They tag each other up, and neither of them really backs down. But
you can also tell that they're not doing it out of there's some fights that you can tell they have a mean intent behind, but they're definitely just having fun, but not backing down in this case.
Yeah, absolutely. So they're being extremely assertive. And that's just rare to find, especially men treating women in the roda that way and women being able to accept it. So props to this guy, whoever he is, for knowing how to handle a woman in the roda. He really does.
He really does how to handle her.
He really does, man. I freaking love it.
That.
I don't regret it for a second. He completely respects her attempts by not playing down and doing tricks or whatever, or what he brings it to her, and then she brings it right back tenfold in this video. It's just surprising.
Just back on that tesoura though. I mean, you got to realize Azul is the
tesoura
number
fail
one fan
master
of full send tesouras.
I really am.
If she goes for a tesoura, she's going full send. She's going with her full body. She's either going to land up on the floor or they're going to end up on the floor. That's just what happens.
Somebody's going down. That's for sure.
It's a great way to do tesoura. You got to respect the commitment.
Yeah, you also got to respect that she goes for that tesoura so early in the game.
Yeah,
you're right that it comes
almost
in at 10 seconds in, and it's I'm immediately trying to take this guy down. Yeah, and she misses, and then he has kind of an interesting response. But the best thing is that the roda doesn't degenerate from there, which you see so many times. Somebody misses a takedown, and then both participants start to close their games down a little bit. Yeah, because they're I don't want to look stupid anymore. And then it becomes a lot of weird balanzo, like, I'm going to pretend I'm going to do an armada, but I'm not going to do it. Wait, are you doing something? Oh, no. Yeah. Oh, I'm not doing anything.
Totally,
and it's so boring to watch. You're just like, Jesus, somebody throw a kick, please.
I mean, they're really trying to feel it. At that point, they're trying to feel each other out. They know that there's a heightened, maybe, sense of aggression coming from the other person. So I think at that point, they're trying to like not fully commit because they know they could be, taking advantage of certain.
Well, every single move after the Tesoura is a counter. He goes for I've trained that a lot where you grab him by the hip to like pull him down or spin him out. He goes for that. Then she responds by getting her base. Like if you watch how she gets up, she puts a hand down and pops up into Bazi, which is...
She tries to headbutt him there.
Which is awesome. And then, yeah, exactly. Goes straight for a headbutt.
Cabezada.
And then follows the headbutt up with a martello, to which he throws a mealua to counter. So they just like go like boom, boom, boom. Within like 3 seconds, there's been like 4 different exchanges going on.
And also, I think all their kicks really do have some spice on them. I won't say like nothing is really for show in this case, which is great.
And they know that too because you'll watch how she throws a little bit of a hesitant mealua at about 15 seconds after his mealua. She lands it into Sita. I mean, she expects to get crossed right there. She's pretty low, but she still tries to go in for a sweep. He tries to counter it. Oh, it's just beautiful. And then she doesn't back down by using the full space of the Roda and throwing every blessing into a bensao, which he steps back in after that. Yeah, that bensao was meant for, something. So
that's a great bensao, and it's a great, like, I'm surprised that he had the wherewithal to come right back after that kick because there's some mustard on it. But yeah, he comes, he's right there to counter the kick. Yeah. And then,
would you call
after
it a
that? That's kind of the whole first. It's kind of the whole first phase of the game right there. After that kind of like the bensao exchange. There's a little volta mundo.
Well, not after like kind of 2 or 3 more, but yeah. And then when he's almost throwing her down, she's still sorry. I have to throw this in at about 20 seconds when he's trying to trip her up. The one foot that's kind of in the air. She throws a martello in his face. Like, she is not backing down. It's fucking awesome. Like, but it's not, it's also not the type of martello you see a lot of women, maybe guys too, but women throw that are just like, all like, and I'm totally the prime example. Well, maybe not, but like all the heat and emotion and like, I'm gonna get you. Like, it's not like that. It's sneaky. Like, she has a lot of like malicia in her game and like not giving up.
She's definitely not showing what she's thinking next.
She's not showing the aggression.
What's interesting about this one I'm seeing now is it's a lot of that counter, like takedown, counter, or in this case, like kicking, counter, takedown, kick, counter. But they're not stopping the game. Like, it continues to flow kind of organically. And nobody's, like, in a lot of cases you would see, somebody feels like they're about to get taken down. Their leg is being picked up or something like that. And they're just going to, like, resign themselves, volta mundo around the Roda, and they're just not ending there.
Yeah.
She's continuing, and he's continuing to like kind of up the ante and continue the exchange, which is interesting.
They are both so comfortable with contact, with counters, with that they don't even like most people would have volta mundoed like 5 times by now, but it takes them 10 or 11 actions before they finally reset. So, about all thoughts?
Let's talk about just after the reset. If I had to explain to someone what malicia is, this is a great example. So they have all those exchanges we just talked about. Then there's a volta mundo. And then they go back into the Roda, but they start it with acrobatics this time.
Oh, man.
She does kind of a sick, like Auji French Sing Mao, which is just nasty. And then he follows her with kind of his own little flair of a flip.
Auji Costa
he goes, all right, well, yeah, if you want to call it that, that's cool.
Right, like, I feel like
people got to know the names.
Can barely even call that Auji French Sing Mao. That's like way better than, like, I can do Auji French Sing Mao. It doesn't look as cool as that. She's like in almost a full back bend going through, which is
she's
pretty
just
awesome.
Better than all of us.
But then he ups the ante with his freaking sweet Tesoura, or Augie Costa Sem Mal, which, thrown at her in kind of an attack fashion, is a great way to resume the game.
Yeah, so he from his flip, he throws a male lua, and it looks like it catches her off guard, and she really acts as if she's almost been kicked. Like, she reels back, she has her hands up near her head, like, oh my God. And then there's a moment where they both kind of freeze, and then she has this look on her face like, you almost kicked me. And he goes like, oh God, I almost kicked this lady. And then she throws a martello right in his face.
Yeah,
it's so good. It's such a good, like, you know, pretending that you caught me off guard, luring you into a false sense of security, and then coming back.
Yeah, man. She just feeds the ego and then completely takes advantage of it. I fucking love it.
Yeah,
but totally. I will say, like,
it's great. It's a great.
Take notes, women. This is how you do it.
But I would have fallen for that too.
Yeah, it's just a great joke to play on somebody in the hole. I feel like that's what you want from a really good capoeira game. When you talk about capoeira being both dangerous and playful, this is the kind of stuff that you want to see. And it's rare to see it done so well. But when it does come together, then you can think to yourself, oh yeah, this is why capoeira is not like anything else. Because you don't have anything else that quite has this sort of flavor of interaction in it, you know?
Yeah.
It's hard to think of another sport or another context where you could come up with something that is like you're playing a joke on somebody, but you're kind of kicking them in the face, but you're letting them think well of themselves for a moment before you take that away from them. You know, exactly what you said, Azul. Like, you feed the ego for a second, but then it's just like, oh, you just take it right away.
Sometimes
really
take the bait.
I think that's kind of like the essence of a lot of, like, some of the best malicia you see is, you know, you have to give up your ego for a little bit and kind of, you know, take yourself down a peg in order to catch your opponent off guard, to make them feel like they've won in that sense, and then kind of come back and surprise everybody.
Yeah, now
which is awesome.
I need to bring it back a little bit. Right at 30 seconds when they start, she does the Augie French, and he does an Augie Costa Solta is what it's called, right into the male lua. It is so Solta, I'll kill you. Just kidding. His straight into the male lua is so smooth. It's so
is
beautiful.
the right term for it.
Well, and it's a fucking mean business. Like,
he also does it.
It was a pretty high male lua, so yeah, she could have, you know, so he didn't kill her, but he could have. Like, he could have put more speed onto that and just obliterated her, but he doesn't. He's having a good time, and he's just like being open and catching her, and then falls for her catch right after. But just props to this guy on the technique of that entrance straight to male lua was just really, really nice.
It is really smooth. You're right. Yeah, it's great. And so then that exchange, that whole sequence is its own thing. They reset again, another Volta Mundo, and then they enter kind of the final third of the game. But what I like here is that they choose, again, like sort of a different opening. You know, the first phase has its own opening. The second phase opens with the acrobatics. And then this one, they both do a little bit of like a Bonaneda, you know, showy offy thing where they're both doing some fancy handstand stuff for a moment. So it's nice because you get to see, like, they're exhibiting not only the interaction between them, which is by far the best part, but they're also showing their own games pretty widely. You know, they're doing the acrobatics. They obviously have good kicks and counterattacks, but then they also have some handstand, balancy type stuff. Again, rare to see, like, all of this stuff shown in just a minute-long clip is ridiculous. It's so nice.
Yeah, and to this third game, it was expected, like, if anybody's been in multiple games over and over, it does devolve into more of a Benguela, Floreo type of style eventually, where they've got to give it up a little bit and start from scratch and play a friendlier game to open each other back up, especially after multiple, like, catches and Voltamundos. Like, you can only do so much of that before you kind of have to reset mentally and try. And this type of game is always what comes after, where it's a little bit of ground movement floreos, and eventually they kind of get back to it. And in the back of their minds, you can tell the the competition is still there. For her, she is a lot more closed up still. She's kind of waiting for him to come at her with a kick, even though she's doing these, punchies and all this kind of stuff. And he's just looks a little bit more just chill and relaxed. He's doing a lot more fladeos too. So just that type of style and game that came through, I think, is a lot more telling of like normal capoeira exchange.
Well, I kind of see that as, they had a lot of really like aggressive exchanges earlier, and this is kind of, like what you said, you build back organically and let yourself kind of play with the other person and just kind of feel the game. But you can tell, in the back of their mind, they're expecting that interaction and that aggression to come at some point, and maybe that sneakiness coming from the partner. So that while they are kind of showing off and doing more fladeos here, they're doing it in a closed manner. So they're still expecting. You can tell when they come out of it, they're not completely open. They're ready for anything from their opponent. They're kind of cutting a couple corners on like the exits, just because it's like in that maybe more hypersensitive zone for them of expecting something coming out. But the last exchange, I think, is also something that's worth noting here.
Well, there's more before that too.
Yeah, go for it.
Unless you want to get into that. I was just going to add what you were just talking about. This last portion, this last game could be considered where you were saying the first ones are more aggressive. This one is more smooth. This could be because they both respect each other and want to play a friendlier, more chill game together. So it doesn't necessarily have to come from what is habit. When you're tired, you're not going to play as aggressive and fast anymore. But it could have come from an emotional place too, where they like each other. They want to play something more friendly.
Yeah. I want to say right at like 57 seconds, she does a really good macaco, kind of like a finta meia lua, step around the back into a macaco. And it's just not something you see a lot of women do in the roda, so it's kind of neat to see. This clip has everything. It's got, like I said, the whole history of gender dynamics in the roda, all distilled down into 70-second clip. What I like about the ending of this is, if we can transition our way to the ending, is again that they don't close themselves off, even as they do start to come back together to do a little bit more of the like kicky banda hand slappy sort of game. They don't rely too much on the annoying balança, which is just the worst. I think we can all agree that when like there's two like ripped dudes with no shirts on just like doing shoulder shakes at each other in the roda, you're like, God damn it, what am I doing here? It's
the game of fintas right there. You just gotta it's the shimmies.
So there's no game of fintas going on here, thank God. And then there's the final. Do we want to talk Azul? It seems like you got something.
Go ahead. The last
before we get to the cherry on top.
Man. You keep going.
The cherry on top is just she, as they come together for the the very last exchange, she gives him a good banda. He kind of falls, and then she gives a little like air kiss, which again is just something I've only ever seen Sukao do in the banda. I've never seen anybody else do that.
It is just, I gotta say, it's just so punk rock. It's just awesome.
Yeah, man, she's fucking badass. Well, because she does kind of get that. They're making a little bit of contact and not super aggressive, but lightly back and forth again, back and forth. And she lands one a little bit better than he does here in the end. I mean, he does do a lot of blocks. Maybe he's going light. I can't really tell. But she gives him just enough nudge that, she comes out on top. And then as he's falling away, yes, she leans forward and blows a kiss. And it's just funny. It's just fucking funny. I love that she's, clearly got a sense of humor. She knows how to play capoeira in and out. It's just having a great time doing it, which is so much nicer to see than people getting genuinely, tilted and pissed
Super
off
intense.
And just making it awkward. You know what I mean? Like, capoeira isn't a game. There's going to be exchanges. Everybody's going to get hurt. Maybe some more than others.
Mm-hmm.
Pride especially, but that's what it is, So it's nice seeing people know that so thoroughly that it's not even an issue.
Yeah, absolutely.
Yeah, and I think that these two know each other, or at least they either knew each other very well before this holiday, or they are lifelong friends at the end of this game.
I think they lived happily ever after. I think.
That's really what it seems like. Is it YouTube ends and it seems like they lived happily ever after. Yeah. But that's that kind of game is something I think that everybody should look for someone in their life that they can have that kind of game with. I feel like there's always bachizados, like, everyone's coming in from all over the country and it's like, oh, okay, I see these folks every few months and I know that this person has this game, this person has this game. But I feel like there's always somebody coming in from out of town. They're like, oh yeah, every time I play this guy, it's just such a spicy game. It's nice. Mm-hmm. And I that's something to be cultivated as much as possible, because hopefully if you're lucky, you'll get a game out of it as good as this one here. Although it's unlikely. Most of us are not going to be playing this well, but we can all dream.
Yes, we can hope.
Yeah. There's definitely, I agree there. There's definitely some people, and it may be like a completely opposite style of yours, but sometimes the games just kind of complement each other so well and jive so well together that it just works and it feels good. It feels good to be aggressive. It feels good to pretty much do anything in there. So those are the things that you should really try to harness at those like out of town bachisados with all the people coming in. It's great.
So I'm going to ask you guys a question, and that is, does gender create any dynamics, positive or negative, in this situation? If so, what are they? For example, if you respect her game and go, yeah, she's just really great, didn't get tilted, or what was it about her compared to another guy playing that you liked about her game as compared to other women's games? What is something that you see her doing differently?
Macaco.
Just get that golden macaco, ladies.
No, I think one of the unusual things is what you pointed out earlier, that it's a man and a woman playing at this level this well with this good of a dynamic. That I don't think is you see very often. You might see a game like this between two men or maybe between two women, but I think you're onto something, that sometimes there's something weird there where it's like the men and the women can't quite find like a respectful place, but also a way to like, sort of like bring the other person up to another level where you're both creating something more than just some of its parts. Yeah, that I feel like is sometimes hard when it's mixed genders in the whole.
Well, especially if there's a lot of both size or style difference. A lot of that has to do with the guy, but I'll let you continue. Sorry, I'll finish that thought after.
Oh, it has to do with the guy, you think?
I'll disagree with that.
You don't even know. You don't even know.
I'm curious what the follow-up is.
Oh, what I'm meaning? Well, I complimented him about this at the beginning of the podcast, but not all men that you play with in the holiday, from a female perspective, know the fine line between respecting you and pushing the game to that next level without going too hard or too soft,
or using their like physical.
So they
size
either play.
Right.
So that would be going too hard if you're using that as the only advantage, or you're just a fucking asshole about how aggressive you play in general, regardless of size, or too soft, being they play down to you, or just play differently with you because you're a woman. Like, and they might not realize they do that, but consciously, a lot of people do. I mean, capoeiristas do it to each other. You're like, high chords do that to low chords, but he does not reflect that a ton in this video. I think he probably has a lot more speed than he's bringing out, but I think he is riding that fine line, or he's not having to be super physical. He's matching her intellectually in the Hoda, and that's why we all enjoy the game so much, because it's not just brute.
Yeah, I think, looking at it, I think there's a couple reasons why this game works so well. I think it's, both of them are able to kind of like check their ego and accept, some getting caught in some cases and opening, like being vulnerable after things and actually committing to certain movements. They also just keep like a playful spirit throughout it. So they're not, getting angry or getting like perturbed that, things didn't go their way. They're just kind of rolling with the punches, which is something that is really impactful to, I think, anybody's game, male or female in these things. I think you're right. It is more likely for a male to kind of dominate the situation and, feel like they need to, save face in a roda and maybe not admit that they were taken down or show and kind of use physical strength and the brute force method to kind of counter something. Not in like an elegant way.
I've been in so many games where I was the initial marker, and after you vault and play again, that's what the male has resorted to many times is, well, okay, I'm just going to use my physical dominance or like prowess. I'm a shorter, smaller girl, so... And you can feel that at least on my end, you can feel the change in how they're playing, and it's almost like a frustration coming through. Mm-hmm. Like, oh, I was nice to you. I held back. I bought you lunch, and this is how you're going to treat me in the whole I don't think so, and they just come back all fucking angry about it. So, yes, it's that kind of ego that they can just check.
Kevin owes me a burrito. You better take this kick.
So,
yeah.
I have been in that situation on the other side of playing a smaller, more female opponent. And
slightly more female.
Slightly more female. I'm not going to say exactly what level of female I'm at currently or in the past. But I can say that there's been times where especially somebody that I don't know, if they come out kind of aggressive, even like slightly aggressive, and they're the same chord or lower than me, I never quite know what to do with that, because I'm not great at doing exactly what you're talking about, Azul, of bringing the game back intellectually. Because if I'm going to raise the level of my game, for me, usually that means I'm going to play more to my strengths, which is going to be size and reach. Mm-hmm. And so then it's like, okay, how do I do this without being overbearing?
Well, that's not what I mean.
There's no way, really. Well, if
size and reach are not what I meant. What I was bad at describing it. It's when a man physically almost pushes you and during a takedown to make it happen because there was no technique. He just used his size in that respect, or he picks you up in the roda because fucking we train that all the time. That's a great capoeira move, or things like that. That's what I mean by using his physical dominance, physically making contact and just playing like a football player against you at that point.
Okay.
Unless you're doing that too, then
yeah, that's what I've walked away from games feeling like I was a big fat football player in the roda. Okay, I played okay for a little bit, and then I resorted to just throwing elbows at the end of that on this 5'2", 100-pound girl, because I was like, man, she's making me fucking look silly. I'm gonna give her goddamn elbow to the face. But there is. I think you do have to be a little bit secure about how your game is. If you're me, you're 6'4", nearly 200, and a girl who's half your weight and more than a foot shorter than you starts to make you look silly in the roda. I think you have to be pretty secure in yourself and in your capoeira game to not want to use your size to really start to turn the tide of the game. Mm-hmm. And so I just applaud those out there who can play well and intelligently. I do want to just make a note that the people in this game that we're talking about today, they're virtually the same size. They're about the same height and they look about the same size. So this guy, maybe it was easy to make it a good game.
Oh, this guy's got 30 pounds on her.
He does have some weight on her for sure. And I think in some of the cases, he probably could have forced a takedown if he had kind of a lot of times your takedown is not going to be, in the perfect setting to actually take them down, and understanding that you didn't hit the perfect takedown, but maybe because the person's a smaller size than you, you could force it by just kind of leaning into it, putting your weight into their leg and kind of doing the dirty way. And they don't really resort to that, which I think is an effective way to keep this game, looking how it does. The other thing that I want to say is, like, you can tell, I think we can tell from a lot of these games that we look at, especially this one, is that, like, when you see a high level of capoeirista, the difference is really the posture and the relaxed nature of the game. When you see, like, other people, beginners, intermediate folks that don't quite have that level of confidence and
or emotional
relaxation,
stamina.
They definitely have a way more tense game, especially when the scenarios get more heated like it does here. But they never really break that or get in that super tense state. They're relaxed through the whole thing. They have, that it seems like they're in that, fresh zone where, they can just react to things coming at them, which is refreshing to see.
Can I say an example of that?
Yeah.
And one of the things I think it shows the dynamic of this game really well is that right around 50 seconds, she kind of turns into a paunchy, and then she exits kind of the hop up the back, like she's doing a handspring. Exactly, which is a super hard move. And she has a moment there where she kind of struggles to get that paunchy all the way. It's not completely smooth. Mm-hmm. And his response is to give her just a half second to kind of get herself set again.
An extra
if you watch
balanza.
What he's doing, exactly, he does an extra little like shimmy shake balanzo just to like give her a moment to reset the situation. So he's not taking advantage of her in that moment where she stumbled in kind of an unfair sort of way. And I think that again, that's something that's like clearly these two respect each other. And it seems like he feels like, all right, if I'm going to catch this lady, I'm going to catch her fairly. I'm not going to like stomp on her face when she can't get into a paunchy. Instead he's going to give her some time to like get the game going. So it's like, no, let's get this back to 100%, and then I'll see if I can catch you. Which is something that I think that's a good, if you watch, if you're watching a game and you're looking for indications of when the game starts to go sour, those are good little moments to pay attention for. Is, does one person feel that something was unfair or that you took advantage of them in a not fair way? And I know that capoeira fair is kind of a dirty word.
It's inherently unfair.
We're not really concerned with fair a lot of the time. But even so, that's a good way to see somebody's feelings get hurt in the whole, is like they're doing a bananeda and they get attacked in some way and they have to drop out of the bananeda really quickly and they kind of fall a little bit and scramble and it makes them look stupid. And then the next interaction you see is what Bonzinho was just talking about, where it's tense, it's a little bit uncomfortable, and then both people are just gunning for each other.
And they're just
but in something like this, you could see, and then it just becomes a balanzo, just a game of chicken. Off. Like, who's going to throw the first kick? I'm just going to keep shaking my shoulders here. I'm going to wait for you.
I keep thinking of that meme.
I'm going to do a little belly dance, and I'm just,
I will say, like,
give me that queixada.
Yeah, like what you said, that just reminds me of like how capoeira is at heart. Like, it has so many like dance elements, and that just reminds me of like, oh, this one, my opponent is slightly off. They're going slower than we expected, so I'm just going to like, do a movement in place to reset and let it like continue as it would anyway. So you're just allowing for that continuity, which is great, is to see in even such like a heightened sense game like this one is.
Yeah, I really like that that you guys pointed out as like a nugget of when you're watching a roda, like seeing something underneath, whether it's just an enormous amount of respect they have for each other and the way that they're playing, whether it's because they actually knew each other and so he was comfortable and wanted to give her time or knew, you know what I mean? I don't know how to explain it, but that it's those little indications that are a little bit more like emotional, like the way somebody will look really quick during the roda or make a joke here or there that kind of shows like how well those two capoeiristas might know each other or enjoy interacting. So
I think they're going to have beautiful children.
Or just come out and say it.
Well, maybe I do want to draw our attention to one more thing, which is there are 2 comments on this video.
Oh, no.
And the second comment is somebody that's like, what's her name?
Yeah, exactly. I want to know the same. There's no information. I'm sorry I don't know better and didn't track down who these people were or what this Roda was. So I also would like to know if anybody out there knows who these people are or where this Roda was, please tell us. I would like to know.
Yeah, based off that comment, we can assume there's a lot of thirsty people out there who want to know the name of this lady. I think the commenter's name is female, Francielle Martins. So Francielle, I hope you found her. I hope that you guys are having a beautiful IVF child together. So not this dude in the Roda.
Not this dude. I loved both of their games. I respect their exchanges and their style, and I thought it was just an awesome video. So I hope people out there enjoyed it as well.
Yeah, I'd never seen this video. This was a great pickup and an amazing game. So very refreshing to see.
Yeah. Azul, excellent discovery. If you, the listener out there, would like to get in touch to tell us that you're happily married to this lady, you can find us at Only the Strongest Podcast at Gmail or on the Instagram. We're putting stuff up on YouTube these days. We're like a global internet empire of Only the Strongest. Here it comes. Thank you very much for listening. Join us next time.